In this video, we'll have a look at symmetry in Modo and how it can be used in object creation and editing in order to make your workflow much faster. So Modo can use symmetry in X, Y, or Z axes at one time. So I'm going to choose symmetry on the X and pick up my trusty tube tool. And now as I click out points, you can see that it is mirroring across my X axis. This even works if you happen to cross the axis. If I click over here, you can see that it will follow this across. Then as I go back and edit this, you can see that the edits are all taking place across both axes simultaneously. So this can be really useful in quickly creating mirrored geometry that you might want to be working on. This is also useful if you already have geometry. Let's go ahead and drop that and throw in a sphere by shift clicking on the sphere button there. And again, with symmetry on the X, if I click and select polygons, you can see that mirrored polygons are being selected. Now, this can also be very useful. You can switch to any different axis. So you can see now if I switch to the Y, it's going to mirror my selections around the Y, or Z is going to be very similar to the X, just across the opposite axis. So this also takes effect for painting and sculpting in a lot of different places. It will allow you to do symmetrical editing of your geometry on a polygon, vertex, or edge level, and also on a sub-polygon level when you're working with sculpting, and then even when you're working with textures and texture painting. As you paint on one side, it will mirror across and allow you to get good mirrored symmetry. Then if you want to go back and create some difference on both sides, you can turn off symmetry, make some small edits to either side, and you're ready and good to go. So working in symmetry is very good to get a handle on. Remember that if you are off axis, so if I take this entire thing, let me turn my symmetry off here and move my sphere over to the side a little bit. And now if I turn my symmetry on the X, this isn't going to work, because it works on the axes themselves. So since this is now off axis, I'm not going to have anything symmetrical to work with. So something to keep in mind, if your symmetry gets broken at any time, then you'll probably want to do something like delete half of the object. So oftentimes what will happen is, if, let's just say for the sake of argument, I have this part here indented a little bit. Now the symmetry might read that here, so let's give it a quick look. Oops, let's go to the Z symmetry. Now you can see because of that edit, I'm no longer getting symmetry in this area because this part here is not symmetrical. If I get down to lower sections and all the section around it, you can see I still have symmetry, but this block in the middle has lost its symmetry. So let's say I wanted to keep symmetry on that one side. There's a very quick workflow technique that you can use to get your symmetry back. There is a tool to fix symmetry, but a lot of times I like to do this the manual way. It's good to know how to get your symmetry going again. I'm going to turn symmetry off, and I'm going to just right-click just to the left side of my Y-axis here. So click and drag that around, and then again, remember that we have a straight line that connects our selection. So release right down there, and now you can see I've selected the entire right-hand side, or if you're looking at the viewport in this perspective view, it's the left-hand side. This is the unedited side. Then I could take this and cut it out. Now, if you wanted to delete the other half, remember you can use the open bracket key next to the P key to invert your selection. So let's just go on the left-hand side and cut that out. And now I have just half of my object. Once you have one half selected and deleted, you can press Shift V, which is your mirror tool, the mirror generator, which is also found under the duplicate tab here in your modeling options. And make sure that you're going in the right direction. In this case, I want to duplicate across the Z. So I'm going to choose the Z axis and click Apply. You can see that that has now created a duplicate of my geometry that has this little dent included. So now if I turn my Z symmetry on, I have my symmetry back and ready to go. So oftentimes as you get working on an object, it's very common to get your symmetry broken. That's a really quick way to get you back on track and be able to edit once again in symmetry. So symmetry is a quick way of getting your work done and really only having to do half the work. A lot of things that you might model are going to be symmetrical. Look for that symmetry, use your symmetry, and it will save you a lot of time.